Good. So, Jeff, one of the first things you said was make engagement your strategy.
Yeah.
Tell radio stations what that means.
I believe that once we focus on engagement, we start to recognize that the radio experience between a radio station and its audience is an emotional and psychological experience. That those fans invest their time, energy, effort into putting their energy into what the radio station's putting out through the broadcast signal, but also through its social media expressions and through the native website. And when you focus on engagement, then that requires you to have great content that keeps people interested in what you're talking about. It's words, pictures, videos, and audio coming together that really super serves the experience for the audience. So it has to be focused around engagement.
You brought up specifically a client, BlackBerry, that came to you or came to radio and didn't really feel like radio understood what they were trying to accomplish or think it had value, radio.
Yeah.
How did you change their thinking on that? What did you do?
Well, first you have to understand, you have to listen to find out where they're coming from, what their position is. And their position was that radio was not a valuable space when it came to digital. And they were ignorant about what radio could offer digitally. And there were some preconceived notions about the role that the digital space combined and that 1-2 combination of the broadcast space and the digital space coming together to create meaningful, measurable results and a return on investment. They had some ignorance about it, some preconceived notions that we had to break down. And that's kind of our job and our role as broadcasters. We need to, and that's what I do with my company, Marketron. Not my company, but the company I work for, certainly. We try and educate everybody involved, the radio stations and their clients, about really what the digital space can mean to them. And that's, we have to break down those preconceived notions, and we have to eliminate some of that ignorance that exists in the agency level, in the small to medium business market level, the mom and pop shops around town. We have to be more proactively educating them about when you put these two things together, great things happen.
So talk specifically about what you did with the BlackBerry campaign to make it better.
We essentially, we said no, which is a hard thing to do because you're taking risk there.
Sure.
But as they say, you can't steal second by keeping a foot on first. BlackBerry wanted to buy digital ad units, banner ad units, standard IAB units, and we said, no, we don't do business that way. If you want to buy ad units, buy from our competitors. However, what we'd like to show you is how we approach this space. We make it very engaging. We make it informative. We gave you the landscape within the fabric of the radio station website, and leveraging the brand ambassador or the on-air personality, we give you this mix of media that lives within the radio world to be a lot more effective. And once we were able to put that proposal to them and demonstrate through some mock-up work of what we thought it could look like, it's like we gave them the vision, and they said, yeah, that's the one. That's what we want.
Another thing you said was customers want fans. They don't want customers. Your advertisers, the local radio stations advertisers, want fans. How can they?
You have to balance both. See, our advertisers want customers, and those customers are usually making an economical decision on those goods and services. So, Budweiser wants our listeners as customers to consume beer. But we want our listeners as customers to be fans, because we want that connection to be a relationship of trust that we can rely on, that we can grow, that we can foster over time into something more valuable. And that's what we need to focus on more. We need to kind of build a program, a custom integrated solution, and we do this with all of our clients, that doesn't forfeit the brand's identity and the brand's value from a radio station standpoint, that doesn't sell out, so to speak, but also can maximize helping Budweiser achieve their objective to sell more beer, and the radio station to achieve their objective in making the listeners of a radio station fans of both brands.
And finally, if you could wave a magic wand over all the radio stations, what could they do? What should they do better?
Well, I'll ask you a question. Where do I find a magic wand?
Right.
But I would just say, give yourself the luxury of failure. And a lot of companies don't have it. A lot of revenues, a lot of budgets have to be hit. Certainly, a lot of ratings. But if you give yourself the luxury of failure by going toward engagement, by moving toward a good product that people can be a fan of, that people can have an affinity for, then you'll in the long run, remember the tortoise and the hare, in the long run, you're going to end up with a better product, a better audience for that product, and you'll be able to create better results for your advertisers. But you have to give yourself the luxury of failing, about learning. So you do a campaign with BlackBerry, and it is more sophisticated, and you and BlackBerry co-authored what the results might be, and maybe they're not what both parties wanted them to be. However, you have to give yourself that luxury of failure and say, what can we learn from this? How do we take this and move forward and make some incremental progress out of it?